we have with the Smart Cities Marketplace organized for you an online info session. The info session is about a very recently published call for applications for matchmaking services that the Smart Cities Marketplace offers. Now, before we go into the presentations of some key information about the call, with the aim of leaving as much time as possible for addressing your questions and suggestions. Then I leave the floor to my colleague Georg Oben from DG Ener, who is the policy officer in charge, among many other things, of the Smart Cities Marketplace. Please, Georg, you can take the floor if you like.
Yes, I like. Thank you very much, Luigi. Hello, everyone. This is actually a great moment. So we are all sharing a great moment because this is the first ever info session we have for our matchmaking calls, which are also a new concept. You should all be very pleased to be part of this historic moment. So what is it about? The Smart Cities Marketplace is already there for quite a number of years. In this current edition, where we have a new matchmaking team in place and some new services installed on the marketplace, we really want to make a difference when it comes to the support to small and mid-sized cities and the respective urban projects being implemented there. So the marketplace is really looking into that specific area because that population, if you want, or that these cities and their respective inhabitants represent 70% of the overall urban population in Europe, roughly, which as a total represents 75% of the entire EU population. So there is quite some relevance, and also when it comes to the implementation of the Green Deal, you might have heard of, or other high-flying policies, cities and the local level are absolute indispensable partners. So the Smart Cities Marketplace is here to give hands-on, practical, even simple support to realize that in practical terms. That is to really implement, replicate, or upscale projects in the urban space with the help of private financing. And alongside, and that is subject to today's info session, you will get an insight on how that is going to happen. So what kind of services you may expect from the Smart Cities Marketplace in order to get your project idea, be it at low maturity or high maturity, to the level where it can be pitched to our investors and to possibly close a financing deal at the end. So this is very much the purpose. And we are looking back on a somewhat successful past few years. We have so far matched 130 projects, roughly, with a bit more than 610 million euro of financing, private financing. So you see there is quite some experience. So we are not sort of selling anything we cannot really realize. So you are in good hands, I'd say. And I'm not saying that because I like this project. There is also evidence for that, I believe. So with this, I mean, I don't want to hold you back any longer from the interesting insights being presented by George and Luigi. If there is a question specifically to the Commission, I'm happy to answer that. I will stay in the call, but will be invisible and muted from now on. So if there is a question directly to Commission, or if you have a specific question regarding anything related to the Smart Cities Marketplace, Luigi and George may, of course, pull me back in. I'm happy to answer those. Other than that, wishing you a lot of insights, much success with your projects, and hope to see you soon during the matchmaking event. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You are muted, Luigi.
Thank you, George. I was checking if you were going to control that. So just one aspect that is important that was mentioned by Georg before. We are also organizing a matchmaking event on the 21st of March, where you're all invited. The information is available on the website. So with regards to today, so please keep your microphones muted during the presentation. Then you will have plenty of time for addressing questions. And then when there is a question, please say your name and the organization you work for our notes. You can also use the chat functionality to ask questions during the presentation in case you're afraid that an idea may be missing, and we will address all of them. Okay, so I'm gonna share again now my screen so that you can immediately see also a visual complement to what I'm going to present with George. So as you see, the Smart Cities Marketplace, it doesn't start today. It has some past already. Georg very well gave some figures that I will then remind also in the presentation. The GNR is leading the Commission initiative, and it is one of the many initiatives that are supporting especially cities, but not exclusively, I would say the European Union as a whole, within the smart city universe, trying to respond to the key challenges of climate neutrality, first of all, that needs to be achieved. And in that respect, the specific feature, the distinguishing added value of the marketplace is that in complementarity with other initiatives, it offers a very tailored, very personalized, very sometimes also localized support. There are no grants, but there is this expertise to address the needs to increase, enhance the maturity of an already existing project or of a forming idea with regards to its legal, financial, technical, or stakeholder engagement governance needs. And this aiming at facilitating in the climax of the support that we may offer, matching meeting with an interested investor for discussing opportunities for either providing financing or funding to your project. The focus with regards to the target is not exclusively, but primarily small and medium-sized cities, which means up to 100,000 inhabitants, but obviously larger cities are also welcome, as we will repeat also later. The project lasts until 2026. So what we offer is structured around what we call the funnel. It is basically a cycle of different phases, starting from the engage, where, for instance, this event can be located, where we basically go out and try to capture the attention and raise the awareness of the interested stakeholders into benefiting from the services that the project can offer, the Smart Cities Marketplace can offer. For those who already have a clear, looking for an idea, they know their needs, but they still haven't found a chosen what to engage into in terms of project idea for making their city climate neutral. We have the explore phase, where basically we share with you and provide access to relevant knowledge, relevant partners, relevant initiatives, inspiration for how you can basically then design a smart, sustainable project that is actually well done. This lets you enter into the following step of and typology of services that we can offer, the shape ones, where we help you fine-tune the projects and the local action plans. This is very important, the mention to action plans, because In some cases, cities are already involved in other strategic frameworks, like the climate city contracts, the covenant of mayors, the sustainable urban action plans, etc., the CCAPs. And sometimes these plans do not necessarily translate immediately in projects. The Smart Cities Marketplace is the right place to go to ask for this kind of support. So really transforming an idea into an action and into results and into impacts. And then the last phase of success is when we reach with the project ideal, where basically we create relations and opportunities for funding and financing of your project that we have helped you design. The journeys that we have, as I mentioned before, are customer oriented. So depending on the maturity of your project, we design together with you a personalized path, providing you access and support that is adequate to the kind of needs that you have, and without bothering you too much with a request for details that you do not already have. We have, therefore, this guidance also. City-led consortia is not necessary to be only one city or to be only one stakeholder. We also have very much the consortium approach. So project developers, universities, NGOs, investors as well are very welcome to contact us. But obviously a city dimension is important given the scope of the project. So it is always ideal and necessary to have a city or cities on board. Also for scalability purposes. So when there is an already realized project, maybe a demonstration project within Horizon or in another framework, and you are looking for solutions to get more financing or funding for scaling up, the Smart Cities Marketplace offers also this kind of support. We provide mentoring about how to reach investors, and this is thanks to the close ties we have with the selection of investors, which we are expanding. They are accessible on the website into the investor network, where we basically ask them a simple question. What do you need to see in terms of documentation from a city-led project to fruitfully assess if they are viable, if they are interesting, if they are desirable, if they are achievable? And based on their feedback, we have structured the full process to help you then prepare and meet ready with the clear documentation an investor on a pre-verified selection of interest in terms of geographies, of topics, and of also requirements for the provision of financing. In other words, we pre-assess your projects once they are mature before we share them with suitable investors, helping you to save time, helping them to save time, making basically the meeting more likely to be successful. As Georg mentioned, already up to date, about 130 projects bankable have been received and supported for a value of about 616 million euros. And we aim at going much beyond this as well in terms of volumes. The call for applications that is now online for matchmaking services works on a cutoff dates. Basically, it's like campaigns. Regularly, we publish a call on the website to raise awareness about the opportunity to benefit from the free of charge, by the way, services provided by the Smart Cities Marketplace. The deadline for applying is now the 31st of March. The procedure is very user-friendly. You will also find the application translated in all the official EU languages. In case you missed the deadline because you're still thinking or you still want to know more about the Smart Cities Marketplace, no worries. The platform is open 24/7. You can also then go back to it and submit your application form. It's called the intake form. Based on the information that you will provide, we will then assess what your gaps are and get back to you with either a request for clarification or a proposal for the typology of services that we can offer. However, if you reply within the proposed deadline, you have more chances that we can treat very quickly your application. Otherwise, there may be a bit of a longer response from our side. So who can apply? The eligible entities are mainly, first of all, cities and city consortia. Larger cities are also welcome, although we prioritize small and mid-sized cities, up to 100,000 inhabitants, as I said. And in terms of geographical scope, also consortia from the countries participating in Horizon Europe programs are welcome. So it is a very large geography that can be mobilized with projects to achieve climate neutrality through the services that we provide in the smart cities marketplace, notably the matchmaking services. Also, businesses, SMEs, and project developers are encouraged to engage by also contacting the relevant cities administrations where they know a project needs to be delivered. But I would suggest that also you submit, and then we can also help you put yourself in contact with the relevant cities. And obviously then investors, because investors, they are not only sometimes waiting for receiving good proposals. In some cases, they're very interested also in joining you in your consortia for designing a project together. If there is a city and a technical partner and an investor joins, this is an ideal settings for having a successful project as well. What kind of support we provide? We have matchmaking events. I mentioned already the next coming one is on the 21st of March, and you're all very welcome to join. We're gonna discuss and present a lot of interesting projects you can get inspiration from. There will be discussions also with the representatives from our investor network. There will be plenty of room for networking and taking contact. So it is really a not to miss event. You find all the information on the website. We have financing masterclasses, which are also online or in-person events where we have a focus on strengthening your knowledge or your projects with regards to the presentation of the financial aspects for a business model, for instance, or for the calculation of the costs for the investment or for the operation of this project, or for the financing or funding or blending of thereof solutions for calculating the viability of a project. So basically you get a lot of essential information about how to prepare a well done, a solid project from the financial point of view. We have webinars, thematic webinars, or to also share with you and give you access to knowledge about what others are doing. Thematically, they can be also offering inspiration for you about what solutions are available, how to cooperate, and how to choose, notably, in the possible options available, what is more relevant for your city or for your consortium. And then we have one-to-one consultancy services, where basically based on the profiling of your needs, we, and in cooperation with you, we identify a team of experts that for a limited number of days comes basically in person to your premises and offer all the technical, financial, legal, and engagement support that is agreed. Last but not least, we have the peer-to-peer exchanges, where basically in a very focused exchange, you can get in contact with other consortia, for instance, have you already successfully delivered the project in the same area of your interest, and then the learning becomes much more operational as well. We have several one of those organized throughout the year. Likewise for the matchmaking events, for the financing masterclasses, for the webinars. So please follow us on the website. You find all of the information always there, being updated timely. And in case you have any questions, you will see later in the presentation how you can easily get in contact with us. The why you should apply, I think it is implicit in what I said before, but it helps to also take a moment to go through this aspect. First of all, regardless of the scale of your project, of your maturity of your project, you can joining the matchmaking services through the application, get help with identifying which ones, which are the projects that are available and that are worth investing into, that you are maybe considering within your own consortium or city, or that you would like to see from that others are doing through the explore phase. The thematic areas are primarily clean energy, sustainable urban mobility, and ICTs. But then other areas are possible, so don't take the 3 bullet points above restrictively. It is always good as long as a project contributes to the transition to climate neutrality. It may make sense to make an application and then share it through the online survey so that we can then get back to you with some feedback. If you already have a project idea, but you need help for getting the financing and the funding, in other words, what we call making it bankable, so reaching the investment grade status that an investor requires to consider your application, then the Smart Cities Marketplace is also the right place to be. So please do not hesitate to send an application to us. So through what we call the shape services, we can offer you all the support you need to succeed. And last but not least, for a mature project, we have the deal phase where we match you with an investor that already has a pre-tested interest in the type of project you are doing, in the geography where you intend to implement your projects, and in the also ticket, we call it, so in the size of the investment or bundling that you may aim for. If you come with everything ready, but you just lack, let's say, the access to the financing, we also have a fast track. So again, we are all aiming at accelerating your efforts and supporting you in the best possible manner based on the experience and the large network of expertise and access that we have. We have an investor network that is expanding. It counts now 18 entities, and they basically cover different technologies, different size of projects or financing, and there is really a very rich choice. So some of the names are here. They are also available on the website under the matchmaking table that you find in the web page. You find actually a dedicated page on the investor network. And if you are an investor, you're welcome to join. It is also very easy. There is a simple application form to comply and return to us to our functional email. And then the application works through what we call an online intake form. It is based on your survey, so it is quite a quite popular tool offered by the European Commission. It starts with identification of basically who you are, your contact details, your organization, a brief presentation of what your project idea is about, where you plan to locate the project, who are the other entities involved in the project. And in the way the survey is designed, you will only be asked the questions that are relevant for the level of maturity of your project, as you will pre-assess it by yourself using a tool that is also available on our website. And that also is personalized. So now my colleague George will continue the presentation to give you more details about how we operate also in and the different sections of the intake form. Please, George.
Thank you, Luigi. So you can move to the next slide. Yes, thank you. So basically, how can I apply? Or how can you apply? It's quite simple. As Luigi mentioned, we have this intake form that is based on the use survey. There are some questions there that you need to answer. First, identify yourself, describe the project idea, saying what type of investment or sector are you planning to invest or to develop the project, indicate the geographical area. Then it's really important for you to indicate who will be the stakeholders and the target beneficiaries of that project. Link to any strategies that city might have or different initiatives. For instance, if there is a covenant of mayors, CCAP or CIAP, so what type of strategy the city has, it's good to make sure that is mentioned there, so that we understand that this is part of a bigger plan. Also, we ask for a letter of commitment from a city representative to say that this project will be implemented in a city. So that's relevant for us. It's not a concept that you are trying to develop without a city involved. So it's a project that you will try to implement in a city or a group of cities. That means that you can also apply for several cities with the same project. And we also have a self-assessment tool where you will check the maturity of the idea that you have. So the maturity level. You can move to the next slide. So this self-assessment is an Excel file, so quite simple to download. And based on a set of questions, we will see in what maturity is your project in. So there are 6 maturity levels. First maturity level is basically when you have a project idea, but you don't have many information. You know that there is a technology, there is the opportunity, you have the idea. The last or the higher maturity level is when you have the tender documentations ready to be launched. So you have everything ready. So it goes from the idea to all the documentation, all the technical parts, business models, etc. They are identified. But it's quite simple. Based on a few questions, you will check the maturity of the project. This is relevant for us to understand whether your project is ready to be presented to investors, or we should go on to the shape phase so that we can provide some support, some technical assistance for you to help you mature and become a more bankable idea. You can move to the next slide, please.
Yes, just one other thing. Please remember when you open the Excel to enable the macros, because basically if you do not, then the functionality of the Excel may be limited. Okay, so this is an important message.
Thank you, Luigi. What else do we ask? Whenever it's available, it's relevant for you to provide investment details, for instance, on the business model, on funding grants that you have applied for or that you already have, and on the finance. So I'm thinking about having this investor supporting us, etc., etc. Then all the costs, CapEx, OpEx, revenues based on your project. So the economic viability that comes from also those costs and revenues, expected impacts of the project, and those impacts can be higher than just money, can be health, can be air quality, can be what type of jobs created. So all those types of impacts, they are relevant to be stated in your application, in the form that you will provide. Also talking about potential replicability and scalability of the project. So whether I can go from this pilot to a bigger scale and I can replicate this in another geographic part of Europe, for instance. That's quite relevant for us to understand. risks that are related with the project and mitigation measures and investment roadmap. So technical assistance that is required. You can say, okay, I know about the technical details, all the technical parts, engineering parts, so I'm fully aware on how to move on this, but I have some doubts about the legal parts of the project. So that's something that you should stress there, so that we see whether we are able to find the right expert to provide you some guidance there. You can move. We also have an help desk, so quite simple form. You just fill your information, you send a message, you have a question, you send that question for us, and we will answer you directly. We are also going to be using all of the questions that we get to create a FAQ downloadable, so that we will have these frequent asked questions that you can check there. But for now, I would recommend you to submit here your questions if you find some doubts in the process. We also developed this guidance document that explain how you should do your application, all the information that is there, information about the PMLs, for instance, and what we will expect from the PMLs, what kind of support we will expect. All of those details are in this document that is available in our webpage. You can move forward. So I also like to recommend you to check on the part of the insights of the web page. You will see that we have a solutions booklet. So those are downloadable booklets where you can find information about a certain technology, or even to develop a guidance. For instance, you have there the Smart Cities guidance package, which will explain on how to develop a strategy and a plan for one city, or you have a solution booklet on e-buses, for instance. So with showcasing best practice, good examples, what else has been done elsewhere. This list of booklets is growing, so we are also developing new booklets to be available here on the investments, for instance, and other topics. So please check it regularly, or through our newsletter, you will get the information of everything that is new and will be published there. I also would like to let you know that we are doing our matchmaking event. The next matchmaking event will be on the 21st of March, so next week, where we'll be having these sessions where we'll be presenting what we are doing, having guest speakers and several parallel sessions with different topics, from mobility to investments masterclasses. So things like this, I would invite you to check the website to register yourself to participate. And it's also a good opportunity for you to submit your project, and we will have the investors there. So we will be doing this link between the projects and the investors. Also on the back office of this on the backstage, sorry, of this event. So we will be doing this. This is an online event, so I invite you to register and to present your idea through this process. Next slide. So just for you to know, so you have here all the details of the website, newsletter, and the social media account. So we invite you to visit our website, register our newsletter, so that you are always aware of what we are doing. And basically, this was my part of the presentation. Now I would like to give some time for your questions, so that we have an open discussion here. Please feel free to open the microphone and do your question.
You already have a question from Jean, please.
Thank you, Luigi and George, for this good presentation. I have two questions. First, if you can confirm that the companies can apply, provided that they have a letter of intent from a municipality. Is that correctly understood from my side?
It is correctly understood, yes. So it is important that there is a signed letter of commitment from a municipality. In case, just for others who may be in the same situation, you do not immediately have such a, let's say, a letter, I would suggest that you still apply, and then at least we can get an idea of what the type of project that you're thinking of is, and we can either help you find the city, or we can just get back to you and tell you that you need to find the city or a city consortium. In any case, it is, I think, worth explaining that the nature of the support provided by the European Commission to the Smart Cities Marketplace is not commercial in nature, so we cannot, let's say, support this individual business for instance, improving a project when this does not also respond to a vested interest of a local public administration or of a consortium where a public one or more cities are involved for obvious reasons. I think that Said also has a question in this respect, or on another topic.
Yes, a little different, probably not in this direct respect. Sorry, I didn't know how to raise my hand on this one. Sorry, Jean, I put the hand on you, I think, I don't know. But the question I have is, we provide solutions. We help facilitate rapid smart city solutions and issues. People have a lot of ideas. We believe in the localization of the smart city solutions. How do we engage in the marketplace? I mean, we facilitate the solutions. There are people with solutions, but sometimes they don't know how to go about it. They have difficulties. It's very expensive, and there are ways that this can be done cost effectively and smoothly. And we know that research is showing that more than 70% of these projects do not eventuate. They don't take off because of all the complexity, the custom work that's involved. And me and my team here in IoT Valley, we're looking at ways how we can work with other entities to eventuate, reduce that percentage drastically. You know, all of our projects that we participate in, they are 100% fulfilled and successful within budget, clearly transparent, and the clients, partners, end users are very happy about that. So we'd like to know how we can engage with the smart city marketplace to support people who want to implement solutions and they have issues navigating the complexities of their solutions that they want to implement.
Thank you, Sid, for the question. I think the challenges you are describing are actually one of the reasons why the Smart Cities Marketplace has been set up. And when we mentioned before that the main focus is on small and medium-sized cities, it is because on the one hand, whereas the majority of the European population lives in small and medium-sized cities, and so they have, in theory, a huge purchasing power to invest into what is necessary to go towards to make our cities more climate neutral and smarter. Then also, given to their size, they have issues in terms of capacity of the local administrations, or access to financing, access to funding, access to the technical expertise. And this is also another reason why the Smart Cities Marketplace, and I say in complementarity with other initiatives with whom we are cooperating to offer an ideally seamless user experience to cities in need. We do not provide any grants, but we provide the localized, personalized support. So to answer to your question, there are two main channels of cooperation. One, I think, that is within what we call the explore phase, is, for instance, participating in our events, the matchmaking events, where basically you can, and your community can see what other projects are out there, can network and access more easily than if they have to do the chasing by themselves. Interesting partners in terms of ideas they are developing or they have developed, or people, organizations with whom to cooperate, or an investor to contact to explore if they want to join your project. And then the second channel is more focused when you already have an idea. You have a pilot project, as George mentioned before, or you already have a project idea. Then the channel is more into the shape series of services that through the matchmaking, the Smart Cities Marketplace can offer. And the entry point, it is very easy, just the application that we are presenting now. So you will need to go directly or invite your colleagues to go on our website, find the page with the application, go through it, find the intake form the self-assessment tool for the assessing the project maturity level of your project. This is important because when you do it, then the survey reveals the sections that are matching your level of maturity, and you're not bothered with the request of a lot of other details that we can understand do not possess yet. So to avoid having the applicant going through 5 pages of application, we try to make it smart by having you self-assessing basically the information that you possess, and then showing to you only those sections where you can quickly, let's say, submit to make it more user-friendly. So 2 channels, one joining the matchmaking events, looking at the website for the solution booklets, look at the other information that is available on the website, participating also in the webinars or financing masterclasses that we do if the focus is more thematic or financial, in terms of financial assistance. And then more specifically for already identified projects, I would say the application, which is supported by a guidance document that you find also on the website and within the application through a link, and the help desk for asking information, so that myself and George and all the rest of the team, which is much larger, to enter the screen today, will be very happy to answer to all your queries. I don't know if, George, you want to add anything? I saw that you were commenting on the chat.
Just I left there the links for the call for applications and the link for the matchmaking event on next week. I think that Jean had the second question.
Second question, please.
Thank you very much for those good explanations. Also the answer to my first question. We are working with road infrastructure and ways to reduce the climate impact and environmental impact of such infrastructure. It's smart in the way that it solves a problem, not in the way that it has much electronic or similar things. But the question is, the benefits of such infrastructure is mostly externalities. It's less people being wounded or dying on the road. It's a modal shift towards active mobilities. Those are the benefits for society. But such kind of infrastructure is free to use, so there are no direct revenues linked to it. And you mentioned several times in your presentation that you want. Well, you mentioned both the fact that such societal factors were also relevant, but you are talking about investors, about bankability, and such factors. So I'm just wondering, is there an avenue for financing for? We're working with the typical target group you have, and I totally agree with you that middle-sized cities have purchasing power and they have a need, but they also, they can make a big difference, but they don't have all the skills for this kind of project. So I think it's very appreciated that you have this solution. But what I want to say is I lost my words a little bit. No, sorry. Yeah, or do you take that into account? Is there an avenue for those projects to be banked, or are you purely looking at internal rate of return kind of financing, basically? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, that I can answer that, Luigi. So of course, when you talk about investors and those types of wording, so internal rate of the project, those kinds of things come and pop up. If you think about a project with revenues directly, etc. In the case of what I was checking your website still and see the things that you are mentioned there. So in case of the project, which is a different project, which has impact on the social side, which has other impacts on road safety, so it doesn't directly generate revenues. The important part here is to understand also how you will be working with the municipalities. Maybe the municipalities, they need finance to move forward with these projects because there are investments that are required there, although the projects do not directly generate that income. Still, it's relevant for us, and we can support those types of projects to see whether the municipality is open for kind of concession or other types of models that are available for these types of investments. Probably there is no scale. I don't know the scale of the projects for PPPs and other types of investments, but we can support you trying to see what has been done in this space. How can you move forward and also try to bridge some of the gaps that you might find, whether it's legal or other types of requirements. We can also try to support you on that. I would say that it's welcome for you to submit your project, and what you need to be very clear on the description for us to help us then to see how to move forward is the kind of business model that is behind it, and the opportunity that there is there, so that we can try to support you on that process.
Maybe another thing we can add of general interest is that not necessarily a project needs to generate revenue. We structured the application form in a way to cover all the possibilities, all the possible types of projects. There may be a project where there is only funding, for instance, through own resources provided from the local city budget or grants, as George mentioned earlier. So it is really agnostic, the Smart Cities Marketplace, in terms of the business model you want to choose. It is, however, important that if financing is required, then an investor that we need to match with your project idea to see if what and what conditions financing can be, let's say, granted. He needs to understand how he's going to get back his money over time, because if this in the case of a loan, for instance. So in this sense, having an identification of the revenues generated by whatever the project is about is sometimes relevant, okay, and insofar mentioned in the application form as well. Another thing I wanted to add is to stress, it was already mentioned, you do not need to have all the details available now in the moment when you go through the application. The application is automatically saved in your machine, in your computer. You can also download it in PDF, I think, format, if you need to further discuss it with other colleagues in a team that is not all behind you on the computer at that very moment, and then you can get back to the application and complete. And then again, it is very important to begin from the self-assessment of your project maturity level, which is structured like a sort of a quiz. There are questions. I have this, I have done that, I have identified this element, or I have only estimated it, or I have quantified it in detail. So these questions basically reveal to you through the Excel file, if you remember to activate the macros, what is your presumed project maturity level. And then by entering this information, piece of information into the survey of the application, you are automatically given access to only those relevant questions that are based on the level of information regarding the maturity of your project that you put in your responses to the Excel. So it is quite user-friendly. It takes maybe just a minute to download the file, do the self-assessment, and then go back to the application. But we try to make the process as easy, as inclusive as possible. And in case of any doubts, you can always contact us through the help desk, for instance. So we relatively quickly get back to you with an answer. Okay. Are there any other questions that you would like to us to try and respond to? I don't know. I see that there is also Irene online and Louise. Maybe they have not taken the floor, but maybe they have some questions or suggestions or anything they would like to share. Okay.
In the meantime, Jan, I don't know if we answer your question.
Yes, I think so. Thank you. Well, it's always the issue with financing of projects which have externalities as outcome. That then we need to seek public funding. And you mentioned earlier that you do not provide directly a public funding, and you seem to be focused more on investors. So, well, we would be interested. I will try to apply. I'm working with a few municipalities here. One of them is Udevala. We have a project that I will try to wrap together, see if they are interested. The challenge with municipalities is it takes time. The decision process takes time. I know the deadline is pretty close by. But to have the option to have grants and sometime we see also in our case with road infrastructure is municipalities try to find alternative avenues for funding for also for infrastructure, because sometimes they are linked to pretty stringent requirements, which doesn't necessarily make sense, especially for smaller municipalities. And yeah, if there were avenues for that as well, for them to find public funding through other channels that are associated with other requirements that are a bit more innovation minded or climate change alleviating minded, that would be quite interesting for them as well. I don't know if that's something you already have, but that would be pretty interesting for them, I think, and for companies like us who are providing for such clients.
Yeah.
So two things here are relevant. One is that the deadline is not a hard deadline. It's just a cutoff. So that means that you can submit your project after the deadline. There will be no issue. You can submit on the next day. What we are saying is that on the deadline, we will collect all the project that we have. We will be working on them. After the deadline, it could take us a little bit more time, but that doesn't mean that we don't want you to apply after this deadline, which is not a deadline. It's a cutoff, I would call it. Second thing, we try to. There are many initiatives in the European Commission trying to provide more or less the same support to cities, because these issues that you are mentioned are, and especially for small and mid-sized cities, are quite common. For that reason, we also try to integrate with other initiatives. With Covenant of Mayors, which has their part also on the finance. There are many initiatives that we try to connect. And one of the things that we try to do here is whenever a project that it doesn't fit exactly in what we are developing for some reason, we try to link it with another initiative which is more tailored for some reason with this project. For your specific case, I don't know the answer now. I would need to check, etc. But on the consortium that is supporting the Commission on this initiative, we have EIT Urban Mobility also, so they know a lot about this part of mobility, the technical details, how to move forward with investments, etc. So they can also provide some guidance here for you and for us on how to move forward. But definitely you can apply, and that will be quite interesting to follow up and see where to move forward.
Thank you.
I see that, Georg, maybe you would like to add some closing points. I think it was very useful to have all these questions. I really encourage you all. Thank you, first of all, for your comments, your questions. I think you could have seen how hands-on we are and really try to get into the details of your projects. That's the spirit. Please consider attending the matchmaking event next week, because then you can get the second chance to benefit from and contribute to what we are doing with your suggestions and ideas, and also promote it within your network. And then I don't know, Georg, if you want to say a few words before we wish everyone to have a nice rest of the day.
A nice lunch, essentially. No, yeah, very quickly. I mean, I would simply support also what Josh just said. I mean, there is an interest, a growing interest and need to get to a sort of more aligned, integrated approach to cities and towns, especially the small and mid-sized ones, because what we recognize on EU level, just to support what Josh just said, this sort of, yeah, I could even call it mushrooming of initiatives around the urban space. And that is, of course, sometimes very confusing to stakeholders, both companies and City Hall representatives. So the Smart Cities Marketplace, as well as other urban initiatives within, let's say, for sure within my reach, but then also across the Commission, are more and more collaborating on that aspect and try to be complementary and not competing with each other, so that essentially we fill the existing gaps and answer more specific needs in certain areas. So I just wanted to support this, and we are also very happy. Another thing I would like to support, to hear your voice, to hear your opinion, and also your feedback. So taking part in next week's matchmaking event, and if it's just for having a look and for experiencing the event as such, is already added value for us, and hopefully, of course, for you. So with this, I would really thank Luigi and George and all of you who were present today. And I nevertheless let the famous last words to Luigi or George. So thanks for being here, and also do not hesitate to get in touch with me directly should you have any questions. Thank you very much.